Guys, and welcome to my 11th tutorial on pep8, and in this tutorial I will show you another example using terminal. This one will be a bit more complicated because I will use loops, I will use compare statements, branches and stuff like this. In this tutorial I will also use messages so that the program looks better, and today I will just create a simple addition program, but it will be also a loop program, so whenever the user inputs a 1, the program will continue, otherwise it will stop or display the message, which is an invalid input. So I have my branch main and couple of variables I need to declare, at least a couple of messages, but I also need some variables. So have enter, which will be used to store the user value for the flag. It will act like a flag. So basically user can input 0 or 1, either one of these, to stop the program or to continue the program. If the value is different, I will display a message. So I'll have 3 branches basically. So enter block 1. Block 1, I will just use capital everywhere, it will be easier for you to see. I'll have X, this is block 2. I'll have Y, again block 2. And then I will need my messages. So I will start with MSG, normal MSG, which is ASCII type. And the message will say enter 1 to continue, or enter 0 to stop. And I will have something like this here. Okay, so that's my first message. So enter 1 to continue or enter 0 to stop. So if user enters 1, it will continue the loop. It will ask user for the input values, for 2 values, X and Y, and then simply calculate them with addition and output them. And then again, it will ask for the input of 1 or 0. Okay, another message. So MSG2, ASCII again, and this time I will have enter first value. Enter first value. Again, another message, MSG3 now. ASCII and enter second value. Okay, enter second value, and one more message in case of the flag, the enter is neither 1 or 0. Sorry, so it's neither 1 or 0. That's wrong, and the program doesn't allow those values. Therefore, I will display a simple message for the user to enter only those 2 values, one of them at least. As G4 and ASCII. Oh, where's the dot? There is a dot. And okay, something like this. So those are my variables. I'll have 7 of them, as you can see. And now I can move on to my main. So main, and inside the main, I'll actually use the main for the process of looping the stuff, which will be very useful, as you will see later on when I finish the program. But first of all, I need to display the message, so which is string output and MSG. This is the first message. So if user wants to continue or stop the program, so MSG D, and then input for the enter. So that's C, enter D. Now I will load this enter, enter D. I'll compare it with 0, actually 1. I'll compare it with 1, and if it's true, so range equal, if it's equal, I'll just say go to the loop, branch it to loop. Now I will do another compare statement. So compare 0, and if true, if equal, so branch equal like this, then go to finish. So if the user input is 1, just do the loop, which will be the calculation, ask for the input and stuff like this, display the result. If zero, if it's equal to 0, then finish. I will just basically branch it to stop and end the program. And otherwise, everything else, so br main, actually not main, invalid, okay, like this. So this will mean that user input is neither 1 or 0. I will have to display a message that says basically please enter 1 to continue or 0 to stop. So those will be my branches. Now I can start with the branch. Where is this? Okay, loop first, and I will do something like this. Message first, so message msg at 2, yes, that's correct. Msg, actually string output msg2. It's been a long time since I used the program. I get confused a lot. So msg first, I output the message. And now I ask for the input, so decimal inputs, xd. Again, I have to output the message, so string output, msg3, and then deci yd. Okay, it's a pretty simple thing. Now I just have to calculate them. So load lda, for example, xd, add accumulator yd, and store in x. And then what I do is simple, something like this: branch main. I can do this, and what it will simply start the program from the beginning, and user will be again able to enter the value if he wants to continue. Actually, yeah, I forgot one thing, and before I forget, so decimal outputs. Of course, I have to actually display the result. Yeah, now it should be fine. So it will branch to main, ask again for one of the values. If user enters 1, it will go on to the loop, ask for the values again, and calculate addition. Otherwise, it may go to finish or something like this. No, so now I will do a invalid. So invalid. And in this, I will just display a message. So msg4, actually string. I forget about the string. I don't know why. msg4d. And I will simply branch it to main. I will just display the message and branch to the beginning. So that user has the ability to actually enter the value again, because it might be a mistake or I don't know, testing quality of the program or something like this. Doesn't matter what it is, it will just simply branch the user again to the choice of the value. So for example 1 or 2 to continue the program or stop the program. And each time the value is wrong, it will simply show the invalid message and branch it to main and start the process all over again. Now I just have to add the finish and branch, which will be a stop only and end. So something like this. Very simple program. If you think about this, it's very simple. I just have to run it in terminal. Okay, so I have enter 1 to continue or stop program. I should write program, but it's self-explanatory. So if I enter 1, I have enter first value. So if I enter 23, for example, I have enter second value, 34, let's say, and then I have 57. Now, you see the problem here is that it's on the same line, which is a bit rubbish. But we can do something like this. So we have the deco, then we have the carol, like this. So character output, and we do something like this. This will make a new line basically. So we don't have to, we will not have something like this on the same line. So let me run it again. Enter the first value, so 1 for example, something like this, something like this. You have the result, and on the next line you have, again, it will ask us if we want to continue or stop the program. If I input 2, for example, please enter 1 to continue or 0 to stop. And again, I can add a carol here just to separate this, so it will look better basically. You don't have to do it, it works perfectly fine. You just have to stop the program. It will work perfectly fine, just, you know, the visual look of it. So if I input some kind of 2 or something like this, it will just display the message for me, just enter one of those numbers, and I'll be able to enter the number again. So if I input 1, go away. If I input 1, I get enter, and again I can enter 2 values and get the result. And for example, if I press 0, the program will stop and will not ask me for the values anymore. So very simple program, and you can take it from here to pretty much anything. You can do full calculations with any type of arithmetic sign. So instead of just doing addition, you can have functions. I would probably use functions for this, not loops, because you can call functions. You can use a loop, but instead of writing the same codes, a couple of times, you can just simply set a function with a couple of characters, compared to characters, and then if it's a plus, for example, then add those 2 values. If it's a minus, add those 2 values. Subtract those 2 values. If it's multiply, just multiply those 2 values, and so on. You can ask for 3 values, and so on. You just have to add more variables. I would actually assume, if you want to build it up even more like a calculator, so it has at least 4 arithmetic signs, to create actual function and call this function to actually execute some kind of code with which you don't have to actually repeat a couple of times. So it will depend on what you want to achieve actually. But anyway, that's how you can pretty much create the messages with the variables and display in the terminal. If you want a good looking program basically, and that has nice flow, you can just add character output, which is new line, very simple to remember, and it will just print on the next line. We just space it to the next line and print another statement in the next line. So that's pretty much it about this tutorial, and the next tutorial will be about functions. So you will get the idea how to create the functions. I will explain them further. If you did watch my special, I didn't really explain the functions much because I just used them. It's a special tutorial just for the Christmas. But in the next tutorial, I will explain actual functions. I will show you how to do them, how to call them and stuff like this, so you have everything from the beginning. And you can apply those functions in here as well. As I said, you can actually create more loops and different type of checks and different type of instead of numbers, you can add characters here. Instead of using just 2, you can use for 4 signs, for plus, minus, and stuff like this. So it will depend on what you want to achieve. But the build is pretty much like this. You have messages already declared. You have some variables to hold your data, hold your values, and a flag. Flag is very important because it will determine for you. It's not a very good idea to put those values, check those values with those variables. You can get confused. So it's better to have just one more variable just for that, and it will simply check whenever. You can then check whenever it's equal to something and stuff like this. So this is the end of my tutorial. The next tutorial will be about functions in pep8, which is a very simple thing. And on that, I will probably stop. I don't know, if I have someone send me another good question, I probably may create another tutorial about this. So guys, send me the questions if you want to, because it's worth it. As you can see, one of the YouTubers sent me a question. It's so interesting for me. I've created a couple of I will create a couple of tutorials about this. 3 new tutorials will come out about this subject. So I think it's worth to actually post interesting questions. It helps me to check whenever I know this, and allows me to help you with different situations. Okay, visit my webpage and YouTube channel for more tutorials. If you like my videos, subscribe on the channel on my videos. Visit my webpage as well. There are loads of tutorials, both written, and you can download the documents and just view them. You can have a look at my game, which I'm creating, and you can have a look at different videos, links there, and and just check out the website. Well, I hate this police. Anyway, I will see you in my next tutorial about pep8, and see ya.